COVID hit, everyone was, really wondering what to do. Early education is typically one of those frontline services that, across the nation even as schools have closed, governors have asked some early education programs to stay open to meet the needs of these essential workers. And so, we quickly made the decision that we would remain open, and then worked with Arkansas Department of Health and, closely with the CDC on, the sanitation guidelines, and then certainly, with Arkansas Department of Health on, what that looks like on a day-to-day as far as, placement in classrooms and things like that. So we have a lot of great leadership from this industry, early education as a whole. So when you look at a crisis like this that hits a community, we're really fortunate to be in this industry where we are being asked to open, but we have a lot of guidance on how that can look. So I think that's been really, really beneficial for us to feel like we're serving the community, but we're doing it in a way that's healthy and safest for all involved. And so we began offering that, decided to dedicate 2 separate classrooms for those families. And then, just tried to get the word out through our partners that we do have these slots available, and then let the community know that there's this need as well. And so we've been really blessed that donors have stepped up and said, this is fantastic. We want to make sure that these families are supported in as much as they can. So have been able to receive some community support there. But then that's where kind of Julie is able to step in and share, what she does when she gets those calls from an or an agency or a family. What happens, Julie?
Right? And like, what does happen? No. It's fun, I guess. So it's unfortunate, COVID came and we just have to figure it out. There's no manual that sort of tells us the process. So opening up this enrollment and these classrooms for those frontline workers, and that could be, it's not necessarily just healthcare or, frontline. It's what happens if, the food isn't stocked at Walmart. And what happens if those families can't work because their center shut down. Loss of income, potential loss of job. It's a huge community impact that could affect Northwest Arkansas as a whole. So opening up those 2 classrooms, family calls and says, hey, this is my situation. My center closed. They don't know when they're going to reopen. And it's come on in. And the beautiful thing is that with donors, we've been able to bring them in on our sliding scale and guarantee that for, we start out with like a 4-week period because, again, COVID's moving target. And if we say, okay, you're covered for 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks is up, where are they going to go? So being able to provide that consistent, high-quality care for these children whose life has literally been upheavaled, I guess, for lack of a better word, just really lends itself to have that high-quality care. So parents call me, tell me this, and then, the first day we go over the logistics, and from every single family that we have 7 children right now in the program. Every single family I usually time it about a day later, sends me an email and says, okay, how can we get in for real? And how can we make this permanent?
I love it.
Right.
Well, for people that don't know, maybe let's talk about where you guys work, a little bit about the center, and then we can talk about kind of what you do, Julie and Sunny. And
right.
Yeah, it was like, it's great. We just kind of got started. And I'm like, this is great. But now
you lost control. You lost control of the podcast.
This is great. I was like, hey, we're just going. I was like, this is awesome.
You got to rein me in sometimes. So we're with the Helen Walton Children's Enrichment Center. We've been part of Northwest Arkansas since 1982. So we've been here a while. We moved into our new facility almost a year ago. So it's been wonderful. Our mission and our drive is to provide the highest quality of early education from birth to 5 for Northwest Arkansas. Reason behind that is there's so much brain development that happens in the first 5 years, and to foster that development with intentional teaching and quality interactions, you know, and building up our team to be those teachers. I have been with the center for close to 10 years. Started as a teacher and then moved up into enrollment. I've been doing this for about 6 years. So I do potential tours, manage the wait list, talk to families. It's a lot of family interaction, which of course right now I'm missing because you know, it's a new world right now. So trying to do virtual tours and Zoom conferences with families just to walk through the steps. But yeah.
All right, Sunny, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I'm the development director here, and so my job is just really community facing, you know, making sure that our center is represented, whether it's on workforce development, panels or councils, being involved in the community, so that it's just kind of a soft way to continue to ensure that the early education is part of the community conversation, because it really just gets kind of dropped off as an afterthought, or it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't fit the K through 12 model or post-secondary. And so, you know, my role is to really just kind of, you know, stay in front of our community leaders and make sure that, you know, the 0 to 5 age group and the working parents are part of these conversations. And it's evolved, I think, from, you know, introducing it to the community 6 years ago. Whenever I started, we launched our capital campaign. And so it was a great way to kind of bring that conversation to the community. This is why it's important. You know, like Julie was talking about, you know, the brain development, things that happen in the first 5 years, this is the opportunity to capture that. You know, 90% of the brain is developed. You know, 1 million neural connections are being formed every second. And they're forming no matter what environment they're in, right? You know, so those connections are happening, whether really strong foundation or really shallow, like they are forming no matter what environment they're in. And so the conversations that we began with the community 6 years ago were around, let's capture this growth development, so that down the road we don't have remediation costs and social services costs, and, you know, we get to benefit from higher graduation rates and people moving on to post-secondary. And so the community was really receptive to that. They really, you know, began to understand this is a not only just the right thing to do, but let's look at this in dollars and cents. You know, it's a $9 return for every $1 invested in early ed in Arkansas. And so where we hope the conversation goes from here, like Julie said, and you guys were a part of our big groundbreaking. We're in our new facility now. We have a state-of-the-art facility, and this is what early education should look like. When families imagine their young child in an environment, like it's here. It's here with these teachers who are well prepared and well trained and well supported. And so now, how can we take those past conversations and the elevation of early ed being a part of the community discussions, and how can we now then take a look at, let's quit keeping this part of a family discussion. Let's really make this part of a community discussion, because right now, at the end of the day, the quality that's happening in these classrooms is directly related to what a family can afford to pay. And, you know, it's 85% is private pay. It's what families can afford. And it's just not fair, is it? You know, it's not fair. Some children are going to have these, you know, just really amazing early education experiences, and some children aren't. You know, there are federal programs that provide slots in classrooms for families that meet federal poverty guidelines. There are state programs that are a little more flexible. They go up to about 250% of the poverty guidelines. But again, 85% of these families are out there working and supporting our community, and they're spending more on their early ed tuition than they are on their mortgage. It's the same cost as sending your child to college. 1 year of early ed tuition is 1 year of college education. And so that's a lot to strap on young families that are just really probably getting their sea legs under them, you know, in the workforce. And so, again, we've had some discussions with the community. You know, there's an answer out there. There are other states that are doing things. And so we just really want to keep pushing the envelope on how can we support families. And so right now what we offer, and my role is shifted toward, is the sliding scale that Julie was talking about. We provide that sliding scale tuition assistance. So we, you know, help families take a look at what they can afford to pay. And then we have those scholarship and donor dollars that come in to cover the gaps on that. And we would love to see that in every center. And I know every center would love to have it.
Yeah.
To really be able to pay your teachers, support your teachers, make sure that they are taken care of.
And I know, so during this crisis, are you keeping kids that are like not in the early age? They're just, you know, they're like school age kids, but they're out of school, so they don't have having where to go. Are you keeping kids like that too, or?
So we are licensed for births to 5. So that's sort of what we're doing right now. And that's, you know, I had this discussion earlier today about that's like where our expertise is, is the birth to 5, and just sort of keeping it with that for the moment.
That's awesome. And what are what's some of the stories that that you have? Some of like the, just kind of to make it put a face in a you know, kind of humanize like what you guys are up to.
Of course, no, definitely, and that's the best part. So, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. So we had a family who joined us, and you know, we got sort of this preliminary report of they're very shy, they don't talk, they don't really eat. You know, this is how it's going to be, and so okay, we'll take it day at a time. Child walked in, was nervous, of course, because this is a brand new space. This is new people. What is this? So it, you know, fight or flight, like, what do I do? And one of the children that was currently in the room got up and ran across the room and was so excited to have a new friend. And just like, yay, friends are here. And at that moment, this child who was told us as being shy and nonverbal, doesn't eat, went over to the breakfast table, sat down and started eating. And the parent just sort of stood there and looked at the teacher like, no, that doesn't happen. You know, and I see both sides of the coin. Part of me is so happy that this child feels safe here and loved and welcomed. The other side is, oh gosh, what have they experienced? You know, and keeping them with us, and I'll share more stories, don't worry, but part of it is for these children, you know, COVID's scary. We try to protect them as much as we can and not discuss the adult things around them because they don't need to worry about it. Right now they need to worry about playing outside and coloring and all of those things. But it's scary. They can feel the adult energy off of them. And so oftentimes children who have that sense of alarm frequently can't rest and can't settle. And so then in turn can't learn and have success in school. So taking that alarm piece out so that these children, wherever they come from, whatever they're experiencing, even if they're children that were part of our program, can be with us and have that rest period of, okay, I can reset. I'm fine here. This is, you know, I know what's happening. Lunch comes at this time. I know what to expect. Providing that consistency for them. But it doesn't stop there, which is beautiful. We've had several families, unfortunately, who have lost their jobs due to COVID, who can't work, and therefore don't have an income. However, they still want their child to attend. They still want their child to be a part of the program. So what can we do? using community assistance, and providing assistance that way for that immediate need. But then we also will support the entire family with resources for later needs. So where the need right now may be, I need help paying my water bill. Okay, let's get you that resource. But then, a month later, but before that, let's get you rent resources and, food pantries and free meals, that sort of thing, to really give them a hand up as opposed to a handout, really lead them to be successful. I think the best part is when the families this week have really been, coming back. People are feeling more comfortable, and hearing the laughter in the hallway again. It's not just this, oh, we're back at school, and hearing the children literally run down the hall of, oh, we're so happy. It's those, little things that just make you happy. Children who barge into your office and you're in the middle of a phone call, like, I missed you too. So.
That's awesome. I know that you guys sent out an email. There was like a story about like a single dad who had some kids and needed help. Why don't we tell that story? That was so cool. I love reading it.
I know that's a really good story. So, lost care, and there wasn't really a clear return date. And so he gave me a call and said, hey, what can we do? Got him set up and brought the kids in. I think it was that afternoon or the next day, he sent me an email and said, okay, we need to get them in full time. Like, just to be they're already a part of the family, but a permanent placement.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that in one day that the teachers in that classroom and the environment made it so comfortable and easy. And the children are thriving. Of course, they're going to have their ups and downs. Of course, they're going to, have their moments, but they're thriving. And in that environment, we can tend to the one-offs where we're having a rough day and we're grumpy. I mean, we get grumpy all the time. So, but really like working with the entire family as opposed to just the child. So, and then I believe it was that evening, the child ate dinner at home, was comfortable, and it's just that alarm phase had sort of eased off, and this child felt at rest and just, did his thing. Yeah. And I'm like, we preach to our staff, you have to teach and you have to be with children as if you only had one day with them. Because a lot of times we do have that. We have foster placements that are here for a day and then leave. And that's what this team is doing. They are living that with these children as far as giving them their all. It's not just, short term, we'll just sort of play it by ear, but they are literally pouring everything they have, which is what makes early education amazing. And so.
It's good. And Eric, you were being like abnormally quiet. Are you okay?
I've hit a new state of maturity, Brooke.
I'm checking in on you.
I decided to become uber professional going forward.
You have like a collared shirt on this time? Yeah.
I had a tie on yesterday.
What?
Yeah, so I'm no longer making any jokes. I am no longer interrupting any conversations. I just listen.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
But I am still judging you, Brooke.
That's fine.
Like,
of course you are.
every question you ask, I'm like, she could have said this better, or she should have said it this way.
That's fine. So why don't you ask the question to our lovely guest?
Right now, I'm judging you.
Now I'm judging you.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. No, I mean, it's just, I just love the stories, I mean, I love the organization. I mean, like Sonny was saying in the beginning, we've been, a part of the center for quite some time. And it's just ever since the first time I heard it, it's just, I mean, it's amazing. It's one of those things, it's like, you know, just like the statistics you're throwing out about from 0 to 5, you know, and I've been fortunate to be a dad, and you know, I remember those years, and very critical, you know. So I think that some of her bad habits today are still due to things from 0 to 5. But you know, I mean, and then the center itself, something I love the way that you brought up, you know, like how the center is a model of the way all early childhood, early child care should be, you know, would be the expectation, the vision of any parent. Like you would love to, every parent wants to send their kid to the best, right? They want, I mean, even if a parent had a troubled life, they want to see their kids have a better one than themselves. And I mean, I think that the center is just, I mean, it's a dream model that, I mean, everything, and it's not just the center, you know, in the physical part, it's the teachers, it's the, you know, the wonderful people like Julie and Sunny that are part of that. And then the programs that y'all do to assist folks in making it happen. So I just, you know, this is my professional statement of seriousness, Brooke, that is just about how awesome this is. So.
Well, thanks for bringing that up, Eric. That it really is just kind of the essence of the organization. You know, so I don't know if I've ever shared. My son actually went to the center in 2005, so he was at the center from 2005 to 2008 as a you know, little 3, 4, and 5-year-old, and I was a working mom, and it was like, I remember going and trying to find a place, you know, and it was just very disheartening. It was difficult. You know, thinking of, you know, you really just want that peace of mind, right? Whenever your children, you either remain in the workforce or go back to the workforce. And once I found the center, I mean, this little guy I dropped him off like at 6:05 a.m. I mean, I was at JB Hunt at the time, right? Where it's like, you had to be, and, oh my gosh. And I remember just like, every day, you know, when I would drop him off, like there was no crying, there was no, like,
Yeah.
it's just like, peace out, see you later, mom. Yeah. And it always shocked me. Like I don't know, you know, but that's the assurance that you want as a parent, is just like, he is so happy here. And I would go back and pick him up, and it was just like, you know, kind of like, okay, you know, it's time to go. But it wasn't like, get me the heck out of here. You know, he was so well, he was loved, he was safe, and like, he wasn't even a blip on my radar during my work day, you know, and like, and it was just, we were in a facility at that time that was like, it had been designed for temporary use in 1982, you know, the old Helen Walton facility. So it was not the bells and whistles of the building, it was the teachers, you know, and just that feeling that when you walked away from your child and you left them with perfect strangers, like you just knew that they were going to be well loved and taken care of. And that essence is still here. It's still part of this organization. And it's really wonderful because now our teachers have this fantastic, you know, space.
Right.
And some of the things that we'll be working on, hopefully, you know, I don't know if it'll happen this fall, but when we designed the facility, we began really early on working with NWA to be their lab school for their early ed program. And I just spoke with their team last week, and we're really hoping for something this fall for their early ed classes. Right now they do observations, right? So they have to get their observation hours in, and they come here. It's a natural fit. But what we hope is that those early ed classes will be taught here in our training rooms. And so they are taught by NWAC staff here. They are able to go into the classrooms and see what's going on, but then get right back into the books, so that they can have that firsthand experience of what the culture of this organization and that teaching looks like. So we're really excited about that.
And piggybacking off of Sunny, with, you know, one of the common questions we get is why here? Why, you know, what makes it what it is? And for so many years I've, you know, tried to pin down a response of like, well, it's A and B, and, you know, but then you know, just with all of this happening and just looking at the center, taking a step back and just looking at the center as a whole during the whole pandemic, it's like Sunny said, the culture, it's a feeling you get, like, as cheesy as that sounds, it is, you walk in and every single team member is here for the same reason. And the eye-opening moment for me was when we were closed for about 2 weeks while awaiting a test result. And during that time, you know, we had been uploading to social media, connecting with our families, you know, trying to keep that together. And the teachers came together and made a little video of just, hey, we miss you guys, we love you. And it was in that moment that you look at that and you think, it's not just a job. They're living the mission in the center as well as out and at home. And that's who you want. That's who you want as part of your team. That's somebody who this is their life. And it's wonderful because the team is what makes the center who we are. You know, like Sunny said, it's great building and everything, but back in the building from 82, like still that same culture and that vibe, which is amazing. It's something that not a lot of people get to feel in their life, but it really is amazing.
Awesome.
Well, to kind of piggyback off of that, Julie, talking about just adorable.
Well,
Ruined the radio podcast again.
right.
Oh, why?
This is Roxy.
Oh, hey, Roxy. Great to see you.
7-month-old kitty cat.
That's precious.
Roxy, we're so glad you're here. I mean, we love cats. Is it gonna bite your neck like it did
No,
the
this
other
one's the
one?
one that doesn't bite. I was eating yesterday with the other cat, and I started writing with the pen, and she went to go get it, and I took the pen away, and she just like attacked
Factor, just like all cats do. They try to bite necks.
Not Roxy, not my 17-year-old kitty. She's been my best.
Oh, isn't it true that all cats try to steal your breath when you're sleeping? Isn't that the truth? I think that's the truth. I think so. Like that. I mean, I don't know why they do that, but it's pretty scary. You know, I wish that, you know, Julie, that you could probably help Brooke out with that whole culture thing. Like they're, you know, come to work with the same purpose, you know, and Brooke just comes to work for 5 o'clock and a paycheck. And
you know me.
I mean, it's just, it's a challenge. You know?
Yeah.
I was thinking about, Sonny, what do you think about me, like being an early ed, you know, provider? Like maybe I can come down there and kind of jump right in and
just jump right in. Brooke, I have a feeling you would have him back.
Like, okay, kids,
Like,
recess time.
Do not count as early education.
Like, don't forget your sippy cup. I'm not bringing your sippy cup to you.
No, like
okay?
what? You're on your own.
I mean, can you not take care of yourself?
Like,
They probably could, which is
scary. I know. Time for the potty, or it's over there.
No, if Sonny or Julie came in my classroom, they're like, hey, you need to watch them. I'm like, they're good. They need to learn. You know, we need to get them ready for the world to be self-sufficient, you know? So, but hey, we really do. I do want to applaud and thank you and your team for, you know, I mean, I know that with everything that's going on, it's, you know, even for the teachers and everything, it's a little bit, maybe a little anxiousness about all the stuff that's going on. And thank y'all for your bravery and your warriorship for stepping up and helping out our community. It's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we at our company get to sit behind computers, and so like, I mean, when we had to make the transition, everybody's like, "Thank you, I finally get to work from home because I could have the whole time." Because all I do is sit on the computer all day.
The whole time. This has been great.
I've been asking to work from home for 5 years, and we finally get to do it.
It's definitely with the homeschooling, it definitely changes things a little. But,
Hey, Brooke, I can come over and help out with homeschooling.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. Like, why don't you know what this is?
Yeah. Why? Just go to Google.
Well, this is like first grade math. Why don't you know it? Like, I'm in first grade. Yeah.
Come on, use Google and YouTube. So, well, hey, we thank y'all so much for joining us today. We need to have more of these. If there's ever another story or anything that y'all want to share, you're always welcome. Just shoot us an email and we'll jump right on it. And because this is the most popular radio podcast, video podcast, I keep saying radio, but video podcast on planet Earth, it will surely
Right.
Lots of attention.
Awesome.